Everyone, Erica here from In the Company of Cards. Happy to be with you on this May Day, this 50-51 day of protest. A couple of things. I had a viewer, this was a Black viewer, who was very indignant at my suggestion that Black people stay home. And I'll tell you, I thought it was adorable and I thought it was laudable that she was so mad. She said something like, I'm going to be out there no matter what. I'm not going to. You know what I said to her? Good for you. Listen, I'm not here to tell anybody what they have to do. I'm just giving a suggestion. And if you're somebody that wants to put your body out there on the front line, listen, um, I admire your courage. It is a tactic, just as Black people staying home is another tactic. All things work together for good for those who love God. So do you and stay safe. So so there was that. Um, I just want to look at a few things today. The first is I had a viewer ask me a question, and I've actually seen this question or this prospect kind of floating out there in YouTube land and social media land. I know where it came from, but they asked me to look at it and they said that, it was a scary thing. And what did I see? So the thing that I'm going to be looking at is there's been a thing going around saying that we will soon, probably like they're even giving a date. I'm going to say the middle of May, towards the middle of May or the end of May, that there will be, quote, this is the term, 3 days of darkness. Now, what does that mean? Well, people are taking that to mean that the power grid will be cut, so we won't have electricity, we won't have uh, communications because, you know, the cables for that will be cut or however they do it. Um, and there is suggestion that, on the one hand, some people are saying that 47 and his people will do it. Other people are saying that the Russians or the Chinese are going to do it. So I am going to look and see, will there be 3 days of darkness? Now, I've further heard that, which just makes me think, really? That at the end of this 3 days, and it could take another 2 days before we're back up and running, but according to this theory, I'm not going to call it a conspiracy theory, but excuse me, some might. Anyway, according to this theory, this 3 days of darkness would be followed by another maybe 2 days of, getting everybody back up and running. But at the end of either that 3 days or that 5 days, 47 would no longer be the president. Now, some people have gone further and said, when we can tune back into everything, like a miracle, Kamala Harris will be our president. So I'm just going to look at these 3 days of darkness. Will it be a thing? And you know what I'm going to use? I think I'll use the scythe. By the way, I read Lenormand. This is a European French/German 36 card system of divination. People ask me, what deck am I using? It is a Lenormand deck. This is my own deck that I created. There are many, many, many beautiful, gorgeous Lenormand decks out there, but I wanted one that reflected my own, you know, preferences. And so I had one made. And if you go under any of my videos, if you click in the company of cards, if you click those words in the company of cards, it will bring you to a page that says Erica Robinson Lenormand, and two more links. And if you click that, you will find access to me in terms of emailing me. Sometimes people will email me questions or requests for readings, that kind of thing, for personal readings. You will find a link to how to access my book, which you can find on Amazon and in many bookstores. And you will find a link to a course that I've put together, which is what they call an evergreen course. And that means that you can watch it in your own time and take the course at your own pace because all of the lectures have been pre-recorded. So you can purchase that. And there's a link there to help access the cards if you are interested in this deck. So you can see the art from my deck is on my walls. Um, but it was a real labor of love. So this is my Lenormand deck. But as I said, there are many, many, many other gorgeous Lenormand decks out there. So I'm going to use the scythe to as the focus card, and that will stand for a cutting of power, meaning 3 days of darkness, right? Like a blackout, um, and you know, an inability to access the internet, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to ask, what's the deal with this 3 days of darkness? Is it really going to be a thing or not? So let's see what we get. I know people are worried. And so I thought, oh my God. So, this happens to me occasionally, right? I always check the bottom of the deck just in case the card I'm looking for, which I'm hoping to put in the middle, is there. And sure enough, look what's on the bottom of the deck, the scythe. That means that it's the last card. So I will put that as the last card, and then the cards that immediately precede it will be the other four cards to make up the line of five. So I'll show you what I mean. So this, I flipped the deck over, there it was. So I have to make it last. And that means this is card four, card three, card two, and card one. Okay. And then I think I'll pull some clarifiers. Um, okay. So to put us all out of our misery, I'm just going to say that this reader is going to go on record saying we will not have 3 days of darkness. I don't think it's going to happen. So anyway, the original line is the anchor, the house, crossroads ends up being the card in the middle. You know who. And then this is the card that I hoped that would be in the middle, but this, nevertheless, it's at the end of the line, but nevertheless, this is the card that stands for this supposed 3 days of darkness. Now, um, I think things will stay stable and stay as they are. Um, we will be comfortable at home. But we've got this crossroads card. The crossroad card is about choices. And I will say that even though I do not think there's going to be any 3 days of darkness, we will soon be, and I'm sure you've heard this all over the news, facing supply chain shortages. Because of what? Tariffs. So, make sure you have toilet paper. Make sure you have water so that you can drink it, so that you can use it to flush your toilet. Um, uh, and I would say have canned goods. Don't go crazy and buy out the store. But it's always good to have some backup stuff. Like I keep a couple of extra gallons of water just because. Um, because I think it will make you feel better. It will make you feel as though You're not at the mercy of anyone, that you have choices. If you go out and you get water and some canned goods, maybe a flashlight. I have a couple of flashlights. I even got one of those crank radios. You crank it, and that's how it powers itself. And it also has a flashlight attachment. Just, just to make yourself feel like you have choices and like you're in control. I mean, not for nothing. Of course, he would love to cut the power and then be the hero who turns it back on, but I don't see it. Um, so let's go back to this anchor card. I think everything's going to be fine. The clarifiers are the bouquet, the ring, and the rider. So for my 80-year-old viewer who said she was terrified, um, I think everything will be fine. Um, you know, the gift that the universe will give us is that the world will keep spinning, the lights will keep burning, and you will have access to whatever you need access to. That's the message that Spirit wants to deliver. So I don't think there will be any 3 days of darkness. Second card was the house, where you're comfortably at home. We have clover, we have tree, and we have moon. I think these are just, this is a happy card, clover. So this is a card for health. This is the card for identity. I think our identity, our self-understanding, as a people who have the lights on, so to speak, it will be maintained. I'm not worried. In the center, we have crossroads. Again, this is about choices. And we have fish, young man, and tower. Uh, you know, Choices, meaning, make sure you have enough food and water, but you should always do that. Listen, I lived in the East Coast for many years, and I lived through Hurricane Sandy, and I was by myself. And that hurricane put a hole right in my roof, and that we were without power for 2 weeks. And so that's where I say, I've learned from experience, just, it's good to be prepared. That's all. It'll just make you feel empowered. If you have a couple of gallons of water and some canned goods and a flashlight, you'll be okay. Uh, you'll feel strong. You'll feel like you can weather this. You'll feel independent. But I do not think there will be any 3 days of darkness. Here is who, because of the continued protests, because of the turmoil and anger against him because of tariffs, he will feel this next month more and more besieged, which will be painful for him. And his anger and his besiegedness will become very clear to everyone. You can only blame Joe Biden, but for so long when he's been out of office for 100 days. You can't keep blaming him, especially when the economy was good under him. You can't blame him for the economy tanking when you're the one that put the tariffs in. So I think he's feeling really besieged, upset, angry, worried. This is, in pain, because he is being found out to be the grifter that he is. And then here we have this power cut, and the clarifiers are the bear, clouds, and the star. You know, Sometimes the bear traditionally is also the card for Russia, but it's also the card for the narcissist in chief. And this is about wanting to sow confusion, but not anytime now. I think that, if anything were done, it would be way in the future, not now. Um, and I also think I can mirror this card of stability with the star. So if anything were to happen, we will be able to weather it. If you have elderly people in your sphere who can't get out to get a couple of gallons of water or canned food, well, you pick it up and give it to them. or just be sure that you have extra on hand so that you can check on people because, it's awful for people to be um, afraid like that, and I think it is, well, I don't think it's going to happen. I'll just put it like that. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. The next thing I thought I would look at. So, uh, I have read a couple of times on Waltz, and I saw that he would be removed from his position. And because he was the one who invited the journalist Goldberg to the Signal meeting. Remember that? Somebody's head had to roll for that. But his head is not really exactly rolled. He has been removed from his position and given another position. And that is as the American representative to the United Nations. Now, on the one hand, it's a promotion. On the other hand, it's a demotion. So 47 kind of tried to split the baby. Why do I say that? Well, because this position as American representative to the UN is a position that would have to get Senate approval. So when you think of it that way, it's kind of a promotion. Uh, but it's also true that 47 has no respect and no use for the United Nations. So it's sort of a vanity placement. It's like here, I have to remove you because, you shouldn't have had that reporter's number in your phone like that. Like, why are you friends with him like that? So 47 was not happy about that. But he didn't want to be too mean to Waltz. And he wants to keep Waltz on side. And so he was rewarding him with this position. So there's that. I knew he would be removed. Hegseth in time will be removed. It will take not the Signal situation, it'll take something else. By the way, if you don't know, the Republicans outvoted the Democrats, of course, and voted against there being an investigation, a congressional investigation into the Signal debacle. So I guess that's just going to die a natural death until the next thing happens. Because trust me, Hegseth will not stay there forever. He will not be there forever. Um, so along the same lines, because now the National Security Advisor has been demoted and promoted at the same time, that left the National Security Advisor position open. And instead of having, a million people to choose from, as anybody in any other administration would be able to do, 47 is having to recycle people. So Rubio has been tasked with not only being Secretary of State, he is also now this other position, this the position that Waltz had. So I'm going to ask the question. I mean, I told you my theory. The pool that 47 can pick from is small. So he's having to recycle people. So Rubio is now wearing two hats. So that's my theory about why, but let's ask the question. I think Trump wants to keep his circle small. So if you have people doing two jobs, well, that's one less person that you have to worry about, inviting people to meetings that they shouldn't be in. But let's see, why did Rubio, that's the question, why was Rubio given the national security position in addition to Secretary of State, as if Secretary of State is not a big enough load to lift. And poor Marco is not looking very happy lately. So we'll use the younger man card. Not that he's young, but I'm just going to use that card, and that will represent Rubio and his double duty. Okay. So we're looking for the younger man, and that will stand for Marco, or as 47 calls him, Little Marco. Little Marco needs some broad shoulders to do two full-time jobs. So here's Marco. So we have the bouquet, the garden, Marco Rubio, 47 in his narcissistic garb of the bear. And then we have the child. I think that one of the things that apparently rubbed 47 the wrong way was that he got wind of the fact that Waltz, in conversation with other people, was not as deferential as Trump wanted him to be. This is out of Trump's hearing. You know, when Waltz was with other people, he was not as deferential, um, and that angered Trump. Uh, Waltz was one of the people whom Laura Loomer, remember her, said should be fired. Now, here's what we know about little Marco. Little Marco allows himself to be denigrated with the pejorative little because 47 can ask him to jump, tell him to jump, and little Marco's only response will be, "How high, sir?" Am I wrong? So he's being rewarded. This is a reward for being the guy that says, "How high, sir? May I kiss your ring, sir? May I lick your boots, sir?" He's being rewarded for being malleable and controllable and uncomplaining and doing 47's every bidding, even though the look on his face tells you that he's in purgatory. Good. So that's his reward. Um, you know, he's being given an even more public facing position because now he's these two things. And also, 47 can keep a closer eye on him, I feel like. Uh, 47 owns Marco, entertainment purposes only. So, I cannot imagine that he would not think to himself, wait, is Secretary of State, that's not enough? And now you're going to put this job on me? But we know Marco will not complain. Is there anything else I could do, sir? Is there job number three you want me to tackle? Because I will. He's like, and he's being rewarded for that. So that's what that's all about. All right. Um, one more thing. I thought that I would, since it's coming up like any minute, I thought I would look at the Australian election. There is an election for, who's going to head the government coming on Saturday, I think. Yeah, it's the third. And so there are several parties, but there are, just like as happened in Canada, there really are two parties that are the main contenders. We have Anthony Albanese, who is the center left Labor government head, and he um, is currently the one in office, I think, pretty sure. But at any rate, the other party is the conservative, what's called the Liberal National Coalition Party, and it's conservative. And the head of that is Peter Dutton. So we've got Anthony Albanese versus Peter Dutton. And polls are indicating that young people meaning Gen Zs, are going for uh, Albanese or Albanese. I don't know how they say it there. And that Peter Dutton has felt as Trumpy as Poilievre of Canada was being accused of being. Now, there will be conservatives in Canada who will come on here and, or, come in my comments and say, well, yeah, it was nothing like Trump. Okay. But enough Canadians worried that he was, such that Poilievre not only lost the party win, but he lost his own personal seat. And the speculation uh, in Australian politics is that the same thing will happen, that Peter Dutton, who started to sort of spout some vaguely Trumpian lines, which have since been taken back, but that he's identified with that sort of politics and that that will be to his detriment. When before Trump went all Trumpy with his tariffs and his wanting to make Canada the 51st state, et cetera, um, people like Poilievre and Dutton looked like they had the upper hand. We saw what happened in Canada. Let's see what's going to happen in Australia. I'm going to pull five cards for Anthony Albanese or Albanese, however you say that. He is the Liberal candidate. I mean, the Labor candidate, sorry, the Labor candidate. And then I will pull three for the Liberal National Coalition, where Peter Dutton is the candidate. And don't get fooled by the word liberal. It's a conservative party. Okay, so here we go. So the first five will be for Anthony Albanese. So far, the betting has been on him currently, that he will win because anyone clearly anti-Trump is uh, somebody that now has an edge over Peter Dutton, who some people feel is one of those Trump light candidates. Trump light and Trump like. Okay, so this election is Saturday. It's coming up the day after tomorrow. So let's turn the cards over. For Albanese, we have the heart, the book, woman, crossroads, and letter. And then for Peter Dutton, the conservative candidate, we have birds, we have dog, we have sun, we have tower, and we have mountain. Okay, you remember what happened to me the last time I got mountain at the end of somebody's line? It caused me to make a wrong call about Carney of Canada, who ended up winning. So here's what I want to say. Uh, well, first let's look at Anthony Albanese. He is the one who uh, pollsters say has the edge, and he is the one who is from the Labor government, which would be a more liberal party. Heart, this is great. But the book is interesting. Um, and I can mirror it with the fourth card. I'm skipping the center card for a minute. I can mirror the book with Crossroads. Like people aren't necessarily, they're saying they don't necessarily know which way he will go, what choices he'll make. But the center card is the woman. I think he will have the women vote. We know he also will have the youth vote. And what I can also do is mirror the heart with the letter. And the letter in this case stands for votes. So I think this is positive for Albanese. I will say about the book, this is about the fact that countries really just don't know how to handle you know who from over here. And they need someone who can make the right choices for the sake of the country, Australia. So I don't think this is a bad card. I think this is more, we don't know how to handle 47, but I think that they think Albanese will know how to do it because this looks very positive as an outcome for him. Now, Dutton. So this is his name Peter? Yeah, Peter Dutton is the conservative candidate. He's from, again, the conservative liberal National Party. It's called the Liberal National Party, but it's a conservative party. We have birds, we have dog, we have sun, tower, and mountain. So, you know, now Australia has more than just these two parties, right? It could come down to, the way that it did in Australia, where you have to have a coalition. You have to work with other parties if you're going to get anything done in the end. So this is people talking. And, obviously, right before an election, there's a lot of conversation, but look what I can mirror it with, the mountain. And I'm still going to read the mountain as a mountain. I think this is an impediment for Peter Dutton. Now, we have the dog and we have the tower. I don't know. I just feel like this means that he's a friend to big government. That's how I'm reading it. However, I cannot overlook the fact that the sun card is in the center. And, in divination speak, the sun is the best card in the deck. It's also true, it's always worth remembering, though, and I always say this to you, that the sun is not always wonderful. Have you ever heard of a sunburn? Have you ever been in a situation where it's just too hot and you pass out? Have you ever gone outside in the sun and your eyes hurt? You get a migraine because the sun is too bright. Sometimes the sun can shine light on things, and sometimes those are things people don't want necessarily for the light to be shined on. So I think what I'm going to do, because these are, they both have good cards. I don't think this will be a blowout election. So I'm going to pull clarifiers, one clarifier per card for each candidate, and I'll let you watch me do that. So um, this will be for Albanese. And his clarifiers look really, really good. So for the heart, clarifier is the house. In other words, I think people feel comfortable with him in the position. I love the fact that the book is clarified by the scales. I think that this is the card for cost benefit analysis, for balance, for justice. How can Australia best position itself in this new world order? How can they best position themselves? Um, I like that for him. I think that young people and women are going to be out in force voting. I think that people feel that Albanese will make choices that are good for Australia. And I think the vote will prove to be loyal to him. I'm going to go with Albanese. Of course, I have not yet drawn clarifiers for Dutton. Remember that his cards were bird, dog, sun, tower, and then mountain. So let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm pulling clarifiers, just one. per card. All right. So remember, the birds is about all of the conversation, the talking that's going on about this election. And from that talking, a decision will be made. Now, this is good. Dog clarified by tree. Could be a close election. You know, people will have differences of opinion about what is best for Australia as there's this new configuration in the world about who's an ally and who's not. Um, so the health of Canada. And we do not have a bad clarifier for the sun. It's the lily. The lily is the card for peace, for maturity. But this is the card for government, and the clarifier is the mice. Australians, just like Canadians, are not going to want, everybody's nervous. They're scared. They're nervous. You know, do you want somebody who is in the pocket of 47 or perceived to be, even if it's only in the mind of 47? This is not a great card to go with this. And then we have the mountain clarified by the star. I think that Albanese will be given a chance. Uh, I think that Dutton will live to fight another day. This is a card for the future. So he may have to just cool his heels and bide his time and let Albanese do his thing and then see what the lay of the land is. But I think it's going to be Albanese. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I am not your bookie. I'm not Australian. Uh, I wish Australia the best. I have a lot of Australian viewers. I'd love to visit Australia one day. Speaking of Australia, just so you know, let me just apprise you of the fact that I do have a Sunday conversation coming up, and it will be with someone whom know and love, the Australian Dr. Lena Rodriguez from Tarot Down Under. We are together once a month. Um, She's on my channel once a month, but just in terms of our schedules, the way the recording schedule worked out, we're going to be airing the episode that we tape on Saturday. We're going to be airing that on Sunday. So if you like Dr. Lena, and if you like Dr. Lena and me together, we will be on Sunday for the Sunday conversation. So listen. We are 11 viewers away from 33,000. That's really good in 9 months. So if you know anyone whom you think would like this channel, please do share. And if you've not done so already, please like and subscribe. And I will see you really soon. Take care.